You're listening to Business English Pod, the business English podcast for professionals on the move.
Hello and welcome back to Business English Pod for today's lesson on English idioms based on the human body. In your time studying English, have you ever heard the expression to learn something by heart? Maybe you had to learn an English song by heart, or maybe it was verb conjugations, or a list of vocabulary that your teacher made you learn by heart. And maybe you know that learning something by heart means memorizing it, which is kind of strange when you consider our memory is in our brain, not our heart. But to learn by heart is an idiom, and English has thousands and thousands of idioms. It's one thing that makes English really hard to learn. But you'll find that English idioms tend to rely on certain themes or metaphors, like body parts. And today, we'll look at some idioms that refer to brains, ears, hearts, hands, lips, fingers, and even heels. In this lesson, we'll rejoin a conversation between Maria and Trevor. They are friends and former colleagues who are meeting for coffee to chat about their work situations. In their conversation, they use many different idioms related to human body parts. See if you can spot some of these idioms as you listen, and I'll explain them later in the debrief. As you listen to the dialogue, try to answer the following questions. 1. How does Maria describe her CEO? 2. What does Trevor say when Maria tells him she has a secret? 3. What has Maria seen happen to other companies that makes her afraid of starting her own?
Oh, right. Yeah. It's kind of an employee's market, isn't it?
Sure is. I was keen to get my hands dirty in HR and certainly got to do that, but the timing, ugh.
Wait, what? You're doing the HR there?
Yeah, well, we're small. Pretty bare-bones operation, you know. Our CEO is the brains behind the tech side of things, but she doesn't know the first thing about people, if you know what I mean.
So, your role is kind of a catch-all, I'm guessing.
Operations manager in a startup basically means I do everything nobody else knows how to do.
Uh-huh. And so, you still have your heart set on starting your own thing? Or has this pretty much kiboshed that idea?
Funny you should ask. Let me let you in on a little secret.
I'm all ears.
I just had drinks with Adam Noakes. Remember him?
Adam. From college? Engineering major or something? Redhead.
That's him. He's looking for a partner on a rather interesting little venture. I won't bore you with the details, but it's about VR and surgery. But you absolutely can't say anything about this to anyone else.
Oh, come on. I've never been a big mouth. My lips are sealed.
Yeah, so I have to make a decision in fairly short order. I hate to let a good opportunity slip through my fingers, and Adam and I would be great as partners.
But?
Well, just the number of companies I've seen go belly up in the past year, 2 years. It's kind of scary. This isn't a simple switch. If it doesn't work out, I can't just wash my hands of it. I'm talking about my life savings.
Big decision, for sure. Not that I know any of the details. But I do know that when you decide to dig your heels in, failure just isn't an option.
Aw, well, thanks for that.
Now let's go through the dialogue again and look at the idioms Maria and Trevor used in their conversation. At the beginning, Trevor says it's an employee's market. That means that people have many job openings to choose from, and companies have to compete hard for good people. It sounds like this is something Maria has noticed too. Let's listen.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's kind of an employee's market, isn't it?
Sure is. I was keen to get my hands dirty in HR and certainly got to do that, but the timing, ugh.
Maria is discussing her position at a small startup. As she says, she wanted to get her hands dirty in HR, or human resources. Of course, she's not really talking about her hands being dirty. If you get your hands dirty, it means you're doing some kind of physical work or a challenging task. Maria is saying that she wanted to have the challenge of working in an area new to her, and it's challenging because there's so much competition for employees. You may find you have to get your hands dirty with all sorts of work. So let's practice some more examples of this idiom.
I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty and work on the shop floor if we're short-staffed.
I'm excited to finally get my hands dirty on some real projects after all these small jobs.
As you can hear, Trevor is a bit surprised that Maria is doing HR work.
Wait, what? You're doing the HR there?
Yeah, well, we're small. Pretty bare-bones operation, you know.
Maria may not be an HR specialist, but she's working in that area because the company is small and doesn't have specialists for every area. Or, as she says, it's a bare-bones operation. If something is bare, it's not covered or wearing clothes. In other words, it's basic and simple. Bare bones might give you the impression of a skeleton, just the bones, with none of the muscle or flesh. So a bare bones operation means it only has the most basic details or features. What are some other ways we can use this idiom, bare bones? Let's try a few examples.
After cutting out all unnecessary expenses, our budget was reduced to the bare bones.
To meet our deadline, we had to strip the project down to its bare bones and focus on essentials.
Now let's listen as Maria explains a bit more about her company and why she is involved in the HR side of things.
Our CEO is the brains behind the tech side of things, but she doesn't know the first thing about people, if you know what I mean.
Maria's CEO doesn't know much about people, so Maria has to get involved in HR. What the CEO is good at is the tech side of things, or the technology behind her startup. She's got all the ideas, and if someone has all the ideas in a venture or business, we say that they're the brains behind the business. If you're the brains behind something, then you invented it, or you know more about it than everyone else. Let's run through some more ways using this idiom to talk about people with ideas.
John is the brains behind our new marketing campaign. He came up with all the strategies.
She may not be the face of the company, but she's the brains behind it.
Now let's listen as Trevor asks more about Maria's role and future plans.
So, your role is kind of a catch-all, I'm guessing.
Operations manager in a startup basically means I do everything nobody else knows how to do.
Uh-huh. And so, you still have your heart set on starting your own thing? Or has this pretty much kiboshed that idea?
Trevor is curious whether Maria still dreams of starting her own company, and he asks if she still has her heart set on running her own business. We associate heart with passion, and if you're passionate about a future possibility, or you're determined to do something, we say you have your heart set on it. You've decided, and you're going to work toward that vision of the future. Does Maria still think about running her own company? Let's listen.
Funny you should ask. Let me let you in on a little secret.
I'm all ears.
It sounds like Maria has some interesting news to tell. And when she mentions having a secret, Trevor says he's all ears. Of course, ears are what we use to listen with. So if you are all ears, you might be able to guess that you are listening carefully or actively. And we almost always say, I'm all ears, just like that, to tell someone we're listening closely to them. Saying someone else is all ears is a bit awkward. Let's practice this idiom all ears with a short dialogue.
Want to hear my ideas about how to improve customer service?
I'm all ears. What are you thinking?
Now let's get back to the conversation as Maria tells Trevor about her opportunity with a new venture or business.
I just had drinks with Adam Noakes. Remember him?
Adam. From college? Engineering major or something? Redhead.
That's him. He's looking for a partner on a rather interesting little venture. I won't bore you with the details, but it's about VR and surgery. But you absolutely can't say anything about this to anyone else.
Oh, come on. I've never been a big mouth. My lips are sealed.
Maria reveals some information about a business opportunity with a former classmate of theirs. She doesn't get into details, but mentions simply that it's related to virtual reality, or VR, as she says, and surgery. And when she emphasizes to Trevor that he can't talk about it with anyone, he tries to reassure her with a couple of idioms. Firstly, he says he doesn't have a big mouth. You might be able to guess that someone with a big mouth talks a lot. And we call someone a big mouth when they talk about things we think they shouldn't be talking about, like other people's secrets. Let's run through some more ways of talking about big mouths who can't keep secrets.
Don't tell Dave your secret. He's got a big mouth and will tell the whole office.
I hope nobody here has a big mouth and reveals our plans for the product launch.
After reassuring Maria that he doesn't have a big mouth, Trevor tells her, "My lips are sealed." If something is sealed, it's closed shut. We seal envelopes and boxes with tape when we send them in the mail. So what does it mean if your lips are sealed? Well, it means you won't say anything. We say my lips are sealed when someone asks us to keep something secret or not talk about something. Let's practice this idiom, my lips are sealed, with a short dialogue.
This is a surprise party, so please don't tell her about it.
My lips are sealed. I won't say a word.
Now that Trevor has reassured Maria that he doesn't have a big mouth, she reveals a bit more about how she feels about this opportunity.
Yeah, so I have to make a decision in fairly short order. I hate to let a good opportunity slip through my fingers, and Adam and I would be great as partners.
Maria feels some pressure because she needs to make a decision soon. As she says, she doesn't want to let the opportunity slip through her fingers. To understand this idiom, imagine trying to hold something slippery in your hands. If you spread your fingers, what happens? The stuff you're trying to hold might slip through. To let something slip through your fingers means to let an opportunity go without grabbing it firmly. Let's try some more ways of talking about opportunities this way.
I can't believe we let such a great opportunity slip through our fingers.
I was close to closing the deal, but it slipped through my fingers at the last minute.
Trevor senses there's some hesitation in Maria's thinking. He feels there's a but, or something she's not so sure about.
But?
Well, just the number of companies I've seen go belly up in the past year, 2 years, it's kind of scary.
Maria's fears come from so many companies that have gone belly up. Your belly is your stomach. So what does belly up mean? Well, think about what it means for a fish to literally go belly up. A fish floating with its belly up is dead. So if a business goes belly up, it goes bankrupt or closes down. Let's try some more ways of talking about businesses going belly up.
Many small businesses are going belly up due to the economic downturn.
We almost went belly up a couple of years ago, but our new CEO has really turned the company around.
Next, Maria goes on to explain her fears in more detail.
This isn't a simple switch. If it doesn't work out, I can't just wash my hands of it. I'm talking about my life savings.
Remember, Maria is talking about starting her own business or going into partnership with another person on a new business. That involves spending her own money, which is a huge risk. If the venture doesn't work out or succeed, she says she can't just wash her hands of it. Imagine if your hands get dirty doing something, then you wash your hands to clean them at the end. You're finished with that work, and you're not thinking about it anymore. But if you can't wash your hands of something, then you can't just end your involvement and forget about it. And notice that we say wash your hands of something. If you just say you can't wash your hands, people will take you literally. What are some other ways we can talk about washing your hands of something? Let's run through some more examples.
If this client is just too difficult, maybe we should wash our hands of the project.
After all the trouble they caused, I'm washing my hands of them and moving on.
Maria has expressed some hesitation, but her good friend Trevor is there to reassure her, as we can hear.
Big decision, for sure. Not that I know any of the details. But I do know that when you decide to dig your heels in, failure just isn't an option.
Aw, well, thanks for that.
In expressing support for Maria, Trevor talks about how she can't fail when she decides to dig in her heels. To understand this idiom, think about trying to make another person move. You push them, you pull them, but if they dig in their heels, then it's hard to move them. For this reason, to dig in your heels means to be very stubborn and persistent, or refuse to change your position. It's about your attitude, not your actual physical position. Let's practice this idiom, to dig in your heels, with some more examples.
I know you don't agree with the policy, but don't dig in your heels. Let's discuss a compromise.
They really dug in their heels over pricing, so we had to reduce our quote.
We've heard Maria talk about her work situation and about her opportunity to go into business with an old classmate. And throughout her discussion with Trevor, they've used many common idioms related to body parts. Now let's practice some of the idioms from this lesson. In a moment, you'll hear a series of sentences. Each sentence will be followed by a beep. After the beep, you need to restate or rephrase the sentence using one of the idioms we learned today. When you listen to the sentence, think about which idea can be replaced by one of the idioms. For example, if you hear,
If we don't cut costs, we're going to go bankrupt.
you can say,
If we don't cut costs, we're going to go belly up.
After each response, we'll provide the correct answer. Ready? Let's give it a go.
I tried to convince him to accept the proposal, but he refused to change his position. Answer. I tried to convince him to accept the proposal, but he dug in his heels.
I think Fiona is really the person with the ideas in her company. Answer. I think Fiona is really the brains behind her company.
We can only afford a very basic website at this point in time. Answer: we can only afford a bare-bones website at this point in time.
If you want to talk about your idea, I'm actively listening. Answer: if you want to talk about your idea, I'm all ears.
Penny may be a manager, but she's not afraid to do physical work. Answer: Penny may be a manager, but she's not afraid to get her hands dirty.
We've reached the end of this lesson, the second in our two-part series on idioms related to the human body. We've learned some interesting expressions related to the ears, lips, heart, hands, fingers, heels, and even the belly. Thanks for listening, and see you again soon.